What happens when a religious movement challenges an empire? The Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest conflicts in history, tells that story. Spanning over a decade and involving millions of lives, this uprising shook China to its core, forever changing the course of its history. Welcome to Old Around the World. Today, we'll dive into the Taiping Rebellion, a conflict that arose in 1850, challenging the mighty Qing Dynasty and leaving a lasting legacy. But how did this rebellion begin? What were its causes? And why did it fail despite its early successes? To understand the Taiping Rebellion, we need to look at China in the early 19th century. The Qing Dynasty, which had ruled China for nearly 250 years, was weakening. Corruption, economic decline, and the pressures of foreign invasions were taking their toll. The First Opium War, fought between China and Britain, exposed China's vulnerability and led to humiliating treaties. Foreign powers forced China to open trade routes, imposing heavy tolls. Meanwhile, the common people were suffering from extreme poverty, famine, and high taxes. This turmoil created the perfect storm for rebellion, and it was here that a man named Hong Xiuquan would emerge. Hong Xiuquan, a failed scholar, had a religious vision after falling ill in 1837. In this vision, he claimed to have met God and Jesus Christ, declaring himself the younger brother of Jesus and sent to rid China of its demonic rulers. Influenced by Christian missionary teachings, Hong established the Taiping movement, blending Christian ideas with traditional Chinese beliefs. His message resonated with the people, especially those burdened by the Qing's corruption and neglect. In 1850, Hong and his followers began their uprising in Guangxi province. What started as a small rebellion quickly grew, attracting thousands of peasants, soldiers, and even defected Qing officers. By 1853, the Taiping forces captured Nanjing, which became their capital. They renamed it Tianjing, or Heavenly Capital, and began establishing a new government based on Hong's religious and social beliefs. Among the Taiping's revolutionary ideas were the promotion of gender equality. Women were granted the right to own property and even participate in the military. This was a radical shift from traditional Chinese society. The Taiping also advocated for the abolition of Confucianism, which had long been the guiding philosophy of Chinese society. In its place, they promoted their own brand of Christian-inspired governance, with radical reforms like communal living and land redistribution. If you're still here with us and you're enjoying this story, please click the subscribe button. As the Taiping forces advanced, the Qing Dynasty realized the severity of the threat and responded with full force. At first, the Qing underestimated the rebellion, but the fall of Nanjing made it clear that the Taiping were no mere band of rebels. To counter the Taiping, the Qing government sent military commanders like Sua Zongtang, who became instrumental in retaking the southern territories. But it wasn't just the Qing forces that fought the Taiping, it was also foreign powers like Britain and France who intervened. Fearing the spread of the Taiping movement and its radical ideas, foreign powers began supporting the Qing government. The British and French sent troops and military advisors, forming what would become known as the ever-victorious army. This foreign involvement tipped the balance in favor of the Qing forces, but the Taiping movement would not collapse easily. Despite their early successes, the Taiping movement began to falter. Leadership issues plagued the cause, particularly after Hong Xiuquan's increasingly erratic behavior and failure to implement reforms effectively. The Taiping generals, once loyal to Hong, began to seek more control. Internal divisions and disagreements on strategy weakened the movement's unity. Finally, in 1864, after years of fierce fighting, Nanjing fell to the Qing forces, and Hong Xiuquan died. Some historians speculate that he died from illness or perhaps suicide, but his death marked the end of the rebellion. The fall of Nanjing was catastrophic for the Taiping. It marked the end of their government and the destruction of their capital. The Qing forces, with foreign assistance, launched a brutal assault that resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of Taiping soldiers and civilians. The cost of the rebellion was staggering. Estimates suggest that as many as 20 to 30 million people perished, mostly due to battle, famine, and disease. The Taiping Rebellion remains one of the deadliest conflicts in world history. Although the Taiping movement failed, its impact on China was profound. The rebellion exposed the deep flaws within the Qing Dynasty, which would ultimately lead to its decline in the 20th century. So, what can we learn from the Taiping Rebellion? It shows the power of belief, the desperation of a people suffering under an oppressive regime, and the dangerous clash of radical ideas with established power. It's a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a movement can change the course of history. Would China's fate have been different if the Taiping Rebellion had succeeded? Perhaps, but one thing is certain: the events of 1850 to 1864 remain a critical chapter in the story of China's journey to the modern age. For more historical stories, click to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.